Well, I think yesterday you saw me nickel plating this with one of those simple like little kits you can get off eBay. I mean, I wouldn't recommend them if you wanted something immaculate, which I didn't. I just wanted something to look old, which I think this does. So I'm quite pleased with the actual patina of it. Looks nice. One thing I did off camera is I made this little strap button, and it's just, I just simply basically cut a square bit of wood to roughly the right section, rounded it off till it was round enough to fit in my pillar drill chuck, and then just rounded it off with a few files and things like that. Pretty easy. Also little brass screw again that will go through and in it like that, so very simple job. And then this will go in there like that. The one thing I'm a bit concerned with, which is something I wanted to avoid, I don't know if you remember when I made this, my plan was I didn't want screws to go through and into the top. I don't think I can avoid that now, because obviously I didn't measure properly when I made these little hooks and stuff. The hooks are obviously a set distance. I should have made the tailpiece wider, sort of thing. But the original didn't have, like, it had just screws in the corners kind of thing. So I've got this screw going through for the strap button, which will be the main anchor point against the tension of the strings. But I want to avoid the tailpiece like rocking, so I think I will put two tiny little screws in either side there just to stop it rocking. I've had that before with one of those, on an archtop guitar. I use one of those like cable like tailpiece stays kind of thing, like you get on a cello or a violin, and it just drove me nuts because it kept twisting and turning, because you've got heavy strings one side, light strings the other side, so you end up with a thing kind of tipping a little bit, which A, looks a bit naff, and B, upsets the tuning. You've only got to do up one string and then it twists a little bit, so I don't want that here. So I think what I'm going to do is make this fit a little better. I think the lacquer has stopped it pressing up against it, so I'm going to do that and then get a couple more holes drilled, so I can put some tiny screws in just to stop it tipping. They won't do anything for the tension of the hold tension, that will be done by the strap button. But so there we go, I'll get on with that. Well, we've got the tailpiece screwed on now. You can see I've put the two little screws up there just to stop it, give it a key to stop it rocking. I've also got the peg in. There is some inaccuracy sneaked into it somewhere, because this tailpiece is canted further over there to be in line with the neck. But I guess when you consider all the shenanigans we've done, it was important that the neck was lined up between the two lyre arms, otherwise that would have looked really odd. So I mean, you're probably only talking about a little variation in angle in the neck will mean quite a lot down here, so I'm a bit disappointed in that actually, but hey ho, that's what we've got to live with, sort of thing. Because I think to be honest, we're probably nearly 1/4 of an inch off with the tailpiece being canted further over this way, but there we go. Can't be helped. Well, it could have been helped if I'd have measured it properly, but there we go. What we'll do now is try and get the tuners on. Like I say, I've got one broken one. I've managed to glue the button back, but we'll get the tuners on, and then we can start thinking about strings. So thank you. Well, here we go. I've got the tuners on now, fairly simple, straightforward job. There they are on the back. I have to say I do not like the tuner buttons at all. They just look like cheapy plastic things, so I will search for another set of those, maybe get some nice wooden ones or something. Yeah, we're nearly there now. It creeps up on you quite quickly, doesn't it? So we've got the bridge here to go on, but obviously that's just held down by string pressure. So I think the next job really is to get the strings put on, and then we can cut the nut slots and get it playing, and then tidying up. I don't like to sort of, you know, get all the tidying up done and stuff, and then string it up and then find out there's some sort of major thing that's got to be done to it. So but I think we're about right with it. So yep, there we go, that's it for today, and take one more look. So we're looking good, and take it indoors and give it a bit of a clean up from all the dust in here. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Hi and good morning, and welcome back to 3R Guitars. When we saw the mandolin yesterday, pretty much the finish was done. While I was indoors today, I had me a cup of tea. I actually got to put in some strings on it. This can be quite a frustrating time, actually. Your first stringing up of the instrument. You tend to find every little glitchy fault you've got with it. You need the strings on to do the slots in the top nut to take the strings, so everything slides all over the place. There's a few things, and like I say, this is the time you start finding all the problems with the instrument when you try and do it. First thing I noticed is these cheap tuners I've bought are bloody horrible. I don't know if they'll ease up a bit, but it's like there's sand in the gears when you turn them. They're just awful. So they might have to go back, but we'll see if they improve with a bit of use. Getting the strings on here was a bit of a problem because you've got to thread them underneath the little tailpiece thing here, but it's more of a knack than a problem. The first time I was trying to do it, I was pulling them through and they were flicking out from under the hooks all the time, so pre-bent them a little bit, put them on. So the first thing we've got to do, I mean, it's impossible to hold these strings anywhere near where they're meant to be on the top nut, so we've got to get some nut slots in here. Now when I make a top nut, I usually, I make it much too big. So basically you can just start filing the nut slots and just to get the strings positioned, kind of thing, but not to the depth they need to be. And then, if you get a position slightly wrong, you can adjust the position of the slot. I mean, basically this is a 30mm neck, and looking at every bit of advice on mandolin string spacing, the courses of strings, the two adjacent strings seem to be about 2mm apart. That's the dimension that's commonly given, so we'll do that. The first thing to do is to put the thickest string that's nearest the left edge of the fretboard on first, and then the thinnest string, and then that's the width you've got to play with, and then that gives you the position for the matching strings. They're 2mm apart, so you can get those two in and then just start spacing the others from there. I mean, you do get nut rulers and kind of thing that will do the string spacing for you. I've honestly found that it's almost best to do it by eye, because you're not after a centre to centre spacing. You're after the distance between the strings to be the same. So if you did a centre to centre spacing, the thicker strings would appear to be closer together than the thinner ones. So it's kind of, you know, I kind of like to do it by eye, really. I mean, it doesn't make a blind bit of difference, really, other than aesthetics. If the string is half a millimetre, well, half a millimetre is quite a lot, but a little bit out, I mean, you know, with your fingers you tend not to notice that, but it's more just a look kind of thing. So that's why I tend to do them like that. The other feature of this mandolin, this large headstock here, you can see that the strings, when they come off the nut, they actually touch tuners that they shouldn't really touch, and that was a feature of the original one as well. Depends which way you want to go. I could have made this different and had it. I mean, it's not ideal, really. You want all top nuts all headstocks to be like fenders, where the strings follow an absolute straight line between the nut and the tuner, and that gives you the best pull without any tendency to twist in the nut, which causes friction and problems with tuning. I mean, Gibson with their Les Paul and something, that's always a problem kind of thing, but something we're going to have to live with, because I certainly wasn't going to redesign the mandolin to cope with that. I mean, it won't be a huge problem anyway. When it comes to cutting nut slots, I don't believe there's any homemade kind of tool that will do. I've tried grinding down hacksaw blades, I've done this, I've done that, but back in the early days of when I worked on guitars, and I have a set of nut files that I've gathered over the years. This is one for a 0.0 tenth of a millimetre string kind of thing, or the thin one anyway, the top E. This is for the bottom one, and then I've got ones that are in between for the strings. That, I mean, each cutting edge, each side is a different size sort of thing, and these have served me well over the years. You've only got to buy them once, and it's well worth doing. So first of all, we'll get the strings on either end of the fretboard put in place, and then I'll get back to you and show you what I've done. Well, quite a frustrating job, I guess, and I think that's why I will emphasise that I would buy a set of nut files, because it is quite frustrating trying to get it right, but I think I've got the string gap nice. I mean, like I say, just cut some very shallow slots to put the strings in first of all, and if you get them wrong, you can move them around a couple of mil, and then cut the slots to the correct depth very easily. And also the bridge, you've obviously got the string spacing at the bridge to get it right here, so you're mucking about there, sliding the bridge back and forth, or left to right sort of thing. So I mean, the bridge has got to be in the right position, which in this case from top nut to down here is roughly 350 millimeters. I mean, you've got the intonation as well to deal with, which I should explain is each, although the nominal string length is 350 mil, for the thicker strings it's got to be slightly longer, because they start vibrating, because of the stiffness of them. They start vibrating a little way away from the bridge sort of thing, so you need those a little bit longer, but that's all in the final titivating sort of thing. But now I think it's time to start getting the action right. You won't get this right in one go. You just get it in the ballpark, play it for a while, and then readjust sort of thing. I mean, one of the things you don't want to do is cut the nut slots too deep, and then it plays great, and then after a few days you notice it's buzzing on the first fret or something, because the only thing you can do then is either take the nut off and put a bit of veneer underneath it, or fill a nut slot, which is a bit crude really. So gently get down to the you know, the depth that you want over a few tests. Like I say, this mandolin has, I mean, well, it's the first mandolin I've ever held, I think. Has a few frustrations. I can see why the tailpiece was maybe changed out on the original one, because it is a bit of a pain getting the strings underneath in this slot and then in these gaps. I mean, it's not too bad, but something that, you know, modern instruments probably like, yeah, you don't need that hassle. The tuners are crap at the moment. I'm really disappointed with those. Teach me to buy cheapo ones, I guess, but I don't call like £40 cheap for a set of tuners, but if I'd have known that they might be going back. So now I'll just work on titivating with the setup and things, and probably next what I'll do is I'll put, now I've positioned where the strings are on the bridge to get this string spacing right here, I'll cut deeper slots in the bridge for the strings, and then we've got that end kind of a little bit done, then keep on going one end to the other sort of thing and getting the action down. So there we go, we'll do that. So you can cut the slots in the bridge again with the nut files, it's no problem. Right, well, I've got the nut slots as near as I dare at this stage. A couple of things I had to do. The bridge is more or less at the bottom of its travel, which I'm actually really pleased about. I haven't really cut very deep bridge slots at all yet, and I think you can see the action I've got on there. Where we want to be, and yeah, that's fine. I mean, I'll be cutting slightly deeper bridge slots anyway, so really happy with that. Perfect. Done the first nut slot in thing on there and got the strings you know, in the ballpark of where I want. I mean, I've got quite a good action. I mean, it's probably a bit low actually on the thinner string, so the bridge will come up a little bit there. So very happy with that as a first go. So I think it's going to be a bit of a tune up, plinky plonky up and down the fretboard. I mean, I have flattened the frets off, but you know, there might have been a bit of movement there. It's quite a frustrating job setting up an instrument, especially one that you've just finished, because there's a lot of variables. You know, you've got to set like you know, the nut height, the bridge length, the bridge height, you know, just everything to do with the instrument. I mean, to me, funny thing is, an instrument never ever, a guitar looks, any stringed instrument looks really soulless without strings on. It's when you get strings on is a big step. So, and obviously setting it up to play properly is vitally important. I mean, I'm really anxious to see what this will sound like. I'm not holding my breath at all. As I said before, it's not a, it's more of a design exercise and a historic sort of thing, but it'll be interesting to see what it sounds. Go in, have a cup of coffee, take my excuse me, take my mandolin in there, and I might tune it up and see how awful it sounds. But like I say, you know, I'm happy with it. I've got a good string path, I think, from the vertical down there. Nut looks right, good enough to have a go, and so we'll see. Well, here you go, quite a proud moment. I think the old girl's like up and playing a little bit, and I think it's got quite a damn good tone. I mean, it's not in tune, but shall I give it a bit of a tune? What do you reckon? Let's see. however it goes, but it's got quite a nice ring to it. I think that's actually quite loud, so I'll go in, get it tuned up and start practicing. I mean, like I say, I've never played one before, but I mean, a few of the things on the setup here, I've actually found, since tensioning the strings up to roughly what they're meant to be, that the bridge had to actually be raised a little bit. So I think we're absolutely perfect with the bridge height, which is great. Strings are following a really nice path. We've got the nut roughly cut. I've not taken the I've not finished the nut off quite yet, but I think it's a bit of a testament really to how much care you take when you line things up when you build the instrument. You know, I mean, we got the neck height right, we checked that. I mean, we didn't sacrifice the you know, the quality of the neck joint for the neck angle and all that kind of thing. We got all that right. Very careful with that, and you get used to this kind of thing when you you know, when you build instruments, about what the key factors are. And I think, you know, when you come to actually putting the thing together then and setting it up initially, I mean, we've got a superb action on this already. I'm actually quite shocked. I mean, you know, that pushes the strings up at the 12th fret, and so that's about the action at the 12th fret, and it doesn't plinky plonky anywhere. Do that one again. I think, you know, with finishing off the instrument kind of thing, you know, when you go and put the strings on for the first time, if it turns out to be quite easy, then you've done a good job of setting the instrument, you know, actually building the instrument good quality. I mean, if we look at the action on this, I'm just using the pick guard under the 12th fret and it's actually pushing the strings up. And I don't think there's anything giving us problems. So every fret is sounding there. We've not got any problems with that. You know, so I think we're all good really. It's you know, it's not too bad. I mean, it's important to leave it a few days, but like I say, when you build the instrument, you get to know what, you know, a guitar or the like, you get to know what the important things are, and you get those right, and it makes life a lot easier for you. So I don't think this is going to be the final video. I suppose it's a bit anticlimactic really, but you know, I'm really pleased with that. Really pleased with the sound. It's making me smile a lot, so great stuff. So we'll get back and tune it up a bit and see if I can knock out any more damn tunes on it. Well, hi there everybody. From my last welcome back to 3R Guitars, and this is kind of the conclusion video of the Lyre Mandolin build. This is almost like 3 months after I finished it actually, and I must confess I was hoping to have been able to play a song on it for you, but that'll have to wait. Basically it's just literally been sitting in my dining room sort of thing, and I've had the occasional play on it and things and tried to learn stuff, but I have been concentrating on my hurdy-gurdy playing quite a lot lately, so the mandolin's taken a bit of a back seat. Anyway, to conclude here, I didn't want to just finish it off with that quick little snippet at the end of the last video. So like I say, this is a good few months later, and as you can see here, I've got my two I suppose you could describe them as tribute tribute instruments for Orville Gibson. We've got the O style arch top there that I built many moons ago. Lovely guitar, play it all the time. And of course the one you've looked at, painfully watched 23 episodes odd on of this this mandolin build. So you know, I'm really chuffed with them, I've got to admit. I mean, there were plenty of times when I was sort of in the realms of building this thing that I just thought, you know, this is stupid, I can't do it, and persevered with it, and I think you know, ended up with a it's not unique, I know, but in a way it is, because it's his Lyre Mandolin built in a more modern style, and there's only, as far as I know, 3 in the world, 2 of which are original. One was built by a guy in the 70s, and then there's this one. So this makes it 4. And I know the shape-wise this is very accurate. It's got a few modern twists to it, but nothing that takes it away from looking original. You know, I'm just really proud of it. You've got the 3R guitars label on the top there. I mean, everything I've done to it, you know, these inlays up here, making those, especially making the original looking tailpiece there, the Lyre tailpiece. And what was special for me is, not long before I started building this, my dad died, and I used the wood from that I found in his house, basically the top and back of 2 shelves. So that's really nice for me. But it's sound wise, it's, you know, I think it's pretty good. It's got a real long ring to it, real lot of sustain. I think about the only thing I could attempt to play on it is something like that, but there we go. But anyway, you know, just have a good look around it, and you know, so basically we went from, in the first episode, I think, you know, so in all the time we basically went from that mould that we built in the first episode right through to the finished instrument. Amazing amount of work, I can't even remember all of it now. The thing that seriously lets it down is these cheapo banjo tuners. I'll be taking them out and replacing them with something much better quality. But I mean, that's not a big job. So basically, I think you know, I think as the YouTube videos haven't been watched by a lot of people, and I really appreciate the people who have watched it and commented, and that's really great. But I mean, I didn't do it for a YouTube channel or anything like that. I just wanted to document the build so other people could see it if they wanted to try something similar. And I'm sure maybe over time more and more people will watch it. But I mean, you know, you'd have to know your historical instruments a little bit to watch it. But yep, so that's it, another finished instrument for me that now I'll have to try and knock out a few songs on. I think the Battle of Evermore is going to be my first attempt, so I will come back and play a song on it for you. But I think, as far as I'm concerned, it sounds great, which was one of the main concerns. Plays fine. You know, there's no real awkward bits to it, even though it's a weird shape. And just thank you all for watching, and on to the next project. Oh, there's a little snippet of Bronire on the older Gibson O there. Slightly better at playing that, but not much. But that's nice because it's a Welsh song, means golden home or something like that. But yep, so that's the sound of the Gibson O there, played by a useless player. So yeah, I'll sign off with that and rock and roll.